Good evening, Jason, and area code 706. Who is area code 706? You guys can unmute yourself. I'd like some feedback a little bit before we get started.
Hey, how you doing? This 706.
Who is that? What's your name?
LaVay from Columbus, Georgia.
You said LaVale?
LaVay from Columbus, Georgia.
LaVay. How are you, LaVay?
Wonderful. And yourself?
Okay, you're tuning in on the phone. You're not on the computer. You're on your phone now.
I'm on my phone. I'm trying to get to my computer within the next 5 minutes.
What So what brought you to this channel? What brought you to the Dispatcher 101?
Well, I was on the computer on Sundays meeting. My friend Tyra Latrell, she just took the seminar on the 4th, and she provided me with some information we had already been discussing. So I'm just trying to get more information about dispatching. I'm the one that's going to start the box truck company, and I'm going to dispatch it in front of my building as well. I'm in Tammy and Sheldon Moore box truck group.
Okay, yeah. Have you talked to Tammy and Sheldon?
I have.
Okay. Are you going to take their course to get through getting the box truck and all the other stuff that's involved in that?
Not as of yet, because their seminar is actually the same day on your seminar, the 15th at 12 o'clock, so both of them at the same time. I think I'm going to put my full interest into this course first and then lean towards that one.
Okay, so are you looking to go into the box truck space?
Right.
Okay, so you're in Georgia, so that's freight heavy for LTL freight, box trucks. Sheldon's probably going to talk about My Virtual Fleet, Select This, how to navigate the load boards. I show you how to navigate the load boards as well. So when you get on your computer, we can look at that too. But you want to have your own trucking company and dispatch your truck.
That's correct.
Okay. When do you anticipate being up and running?
We're going to purchase our truck around September, mid-September.
Okay. So you purchasing it outright? Are you financing it or?
Outright.
Ooh, okay. And then I know Sheldon recommends like the Hino and the Freightliner. You're getting a 26-foot box truck with a 3,000-pound hydraulic lift gate.
Correct.
Okay. And E-tracks and all the other accessories. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And how far are you looking to run? Are you looking to stay within the state of Georgia, or are you going to neighboring states, or?
Yeah, we're going outside the state, so we're waiting on our LLC to come through. It should be finalized on August the 13th, and then we're already started with CBS factoring for the DLC UCR and the DLC3.
Okay, so TBS Factory does all that for you?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize they did. I knew they did some things. Okay. All right. So the purpose of this platform is to show people who know very little, if anything, about dispatching, whether it's box trucks. Our main equipment types are the three major ones: the dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. But finding a load for a box truck shouldn't be a problem. Depends on where you are. So do a quick roll call. Jason. So I got LaVay, like Robert as always. Then LaShawn J.
Hey, it's Jason. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jason. What's up?
Not much. How you been?
I'm okay. Welcome. And you're on your phone, right? Or you're on the computer?
I'm on my phone.
Okay. So I want to do because I'm having intermittent power because we had the Isaias hurricane come through the area, North Carolina, Virginia. So there's power issues over here. So I'm not sure how long I'm gonna, as far as be with you guys in this recording, but there's been a lot of, there's about 5 tornadoes in this area, Suffolk, Portsmouth area. So there's thousands of people without power. I just happen to have power now, but I don't know how long it's going to last. So I'm trying to see if I can get at least a few questions answered tonight for you guys for as long as we can. So so tell me what's on your minds, guys. What kind of, and then I see LaShawn J here too. Well, I saw LaShawn J. She just left. So I think, Jason, you just joined too as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you are, okay, I see Kobe. Kobe just joined in. LaShawn J is back. I see someone put something in the chat here. So Robert says, who provides the paperwork, logs, contract agreements? As far as what, between the carriers and the dispatcher, Robert?
The business setup, let's say the trucking business setup, you got to have all that paperwork, your contract agreements and, your rules and all that other stuff, regulations and, just the general package that you require.
Are you speaking from from when earlier LeVay was talking about TVS Factory and all the services they provided, or?
No. This is just general when you're starting your business, and all that, and you get your office or whatever, and now you got to get your contracts made up, and your Qualcomms or whatever, your logs or whatever, all that paperwork stuff that you need as far as the office stuff that is needed. Who pretty much provides that? I mean, is there like a contractor or something that you can go to, or what?
Well, you have, if you're looking from a trucking company perspective or a distribution company's perspective.
Trucking company. Let's go with trucking company perspective.
Okay, so if you're starting a trucking company, well, let's do this. Because I got someone on here, LeVay.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert asked a good question, and you are just beginning yours, starting your trucking company and things like that. So as far as all the paperwork's involved in that, who provides all that? Are you going through like a consultant? Are you doing LegalZoom? Or are you doing your own paperwork? How are you structuring, and who provides the contracts and all the paperwork for your trucking company that you're getting ready to start?
I actually went to VN Business. It was $100 for Georgia. It was $179 for them to do all my paperwork.
What's the name of them?
VN, V-E-N, Business.
Okay. Then V-E-N?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're a company that provides, like, they help people set up businesses as far as structurally, as far as all the necessary documents and paperwork that you need in your particular state?
Right. There's and they have different packages. I chose the $179 because I needed the EIN, the registrant agent, and some more information. But if they just type in VN Business, it provides you with 3 different packages. You have the basic, you have the Premier, and you have the Pro.
Okay, and each package offers different features.
That's correct.
Robert, did you get some of that?
Yeah. So basically, like say like the contract agreements, they'll draw those up for you also, or you have to go somewhere else to get your like contracts and agreements and your general business paperwork that's needed.
Oh no, Zen Business is just for your LLC. Now I have researched and Googled online on how I want my business formats to be for a contract. That's just something you're gonna have to research on your own.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Now, give me an example of a type of contract that you're referring to, Robert. Like if you're saying like, okay, as a trucking company, you may want to have a contract between you and any carrier that you're trying to bring on under your authority. Is that an example, or give me another example?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because normally, I mean, you got to get all your paperwork in. You have your bill ratings, whatever. Like your contracts or whatever, your logos and all that other stuff. There's like this one specific organization, something that provides that.
Yeah, you're looking for like a one-stop shop place that'll do everything all in one location, centralized location, as it relates to forming a trucking company and having all the contracts, all the logos, everything that's business related for your company in a specific centralized location. Vin Business is LeVay said Vin Business was specifically for the LLC, registered agent, EIN part of it, the actual, I guess, the legal entity structure of it. As far as formulating contracts and other things, there may be other organizations that will provide that service, or you can structure your own contracts yourself because you know how you want to bring on carriers to your company. Like if you got an MC authority, you don't have any trucks, but let's say, for example, you want to lease your authority to owner-operators. Well, you can structure a contract in a way and then run it by an attorney, for legalese, and then see if it makes sense legally, and then present that to your potential leased-on owner-operators who's coming under your authority. And the same holds true with other aspects of your business. However you want to, logos, any other contracts outside of bringing on carriers under your authority, any other related contracts for your trucking company. When you're dealing with direct shippers, because you're going to be a trucking company, you may get to a point where you're not dealing with brokers, but you're dealing with direct shippers. So.
Right. Also, like regular applications, employee applications, also.
Right. So then what you do is you visualize if you were an employee, or what would you want to be on your employee application if you were to decide to bring employees into your trucking company? How would you structure that? How would you word that? And then take that visualization and make it practical. Put it into a format, because because it's your business. So only you know your business and how to structure that. Now you can get as much advice from experienced people, but they don't know your business, your perspective, so to speak. So now you can use their examples and their business as templates for yours, but your ideas and their ideas are different. So no two people are alike. We may have similarities, but we're not alike. So, but yeah, interesting start. Business structure, which is, that's key to now we can go from a trucking company, we can roll it over into a dispatching company. How do we structure the dispatching company. You know, when we start our business, you know, we get our business license, we get the EIN, register agent LLC, open up a business account, and then how do we formulate, you know, our contract, our main contract, our only contract, think about it, is the agreement between the dispatcher and the carriers. So how do we structure that dispatcher agreement where it's looked at not as brokering, but as dispatch? Because I came across an article and some stuff on social media where people are still saying that dispatchers are illegally brokering loads. Dispatchers do not broker loads. So if people are hearing that, that is a misnomer. Dispatchers do not broker loads. We do. First of all, dispatchers do not have an authority or a bond to even get loads from shippers. So number one, shippers are not going to give dispatchers loads. So how, in the first place, can a dispatcher broker loads when they do not receive the load tenders from the shippers directly? Shippers deal directly either with carriers or with the brokers. So for someone to claim that dispatchers are brokering loads, now when you have dispatchers who are taking loads from brokers and then reposting them on other social media platforms, now that is an issue in and of itself. Now you can't, that's not an honorable act in my opinion. The purpose of a dispatcher is to get a carrier under a dispatch agreement, work for this carrier, be this carrier's administrative person, manage that carrier's truck for them. How we do that is through finding loads for that carrier and booking those loads through the proper channels, who are mainly the brokers and the shippers. Now, when you deal with shippers, you have to word it differently. So when you're talking to a shipper and you say, well, I manage a trucking company. We're a large, so say you're a dispatcher for a 10 trucking company. So now you're managing that trucking company. So if you go to a shipper, that looks impressive to the shipper, especially those shippers who deal directly with carriers. Otherwise, if you're dealing with brokers, you know, they just want the load moved. They don't care less if you have 10 trucks or 1 truck. If they want that load moved that one day so they can make their quota that one day, so be it. But dispatchers do not broker loads. So I want to be real clear with that. Dispatchers do not broker loads. Dispatchers are not brokers. Dispatchers do not have a broker authority, nor do they have a broker bond, whether a bond, a surety bond, or a trust fund. They do not have a BOC3. They do not have contingent cargo insurance. They don't have liability insurance. They don't have any of the qualifiers to be a broker. That's why they're dispatchers. That's why we're dispatchers, right? So when you hear someone say dispatchers are glorified brokers or dispatchers are brokering loads, dispatchers are not qualified to broker loads. So dispatchers can never be brokers. All we do is we manage the trucks via a dispatcher agreement between us and the carrier. The carrier, by them signing the dispatch agreement and getting it back to us, are consenting and agreeing with the service that we are providing for them. So when people, you're gonna come across negative energy trying to downplay dispatchers, and it's been going on for the longest time. The FMCSA does not. The FMCSA, by the way, for those who don't know, is the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration. They do not regulate dispatchers. They regulate brokers, shippers, and freight forwarders. They do not regulate dispatchers because dispatchers are not in their realm of regulation. They do not qualify to even be regulated by the FMCSA. So we cannot be brokers. We assist the carriers by keeping their trucks running through our dispatcher agreement with them. So does anyone have any questions about that? I just want to be clear on that because I've been noticing on like social media and different outlets that there's this negative connotation that's given to dispatchers out here. So we can never be brokers. Until you get a broker authority or a bond or BOC3 or all the qualifiers to be a broker, then you are just, we're just dispatching. So, any questions about that? And can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, type yes. Hey, Tyra, type yes in the chat. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me because I did say that there was intermittent internet interference because of the hurricane Isaias. So, okay, people are typing yes. Good. Yep. Okay, so a lot of people coming in now. So, Lively Bellamy. What up, Mike? So, any questions in that regard? And then if there are no questions in that regard, I'll cover that first, and then we'll go into some basic Q&A because, like I said earlier, I'm getting static interference because of the recent storm in the area, hurricane. So, Robert said, Mike tuned in. Mike been busy. So for those of you who Jason has recently joined Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, recently enrolled. What's up, Kobe? And then LaShawn J, I believe. That name looks familiar. Oh, okay. It's spelled Livvy, but it's pronounced LeVay. Okay. So for all the beginners, all those who have recently enrolled, or because I know there has to be some curiosity and some questions about being a dispatcher and what's the process, what's the workflow. So that's the whole point of this. Oh, I like the email, Tyra. We value our clients. We value our clients.com, I think it said.
Yeah.
We value our clients at Gmail. Very good. Customer service.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
So any questions? I'm doing a little Q&A while I still have internet because of the hurricane in my area. We had lost power last night and we barely got it back. And I got, by the way, I have Internet Truck Stop again. I partnered with someone, and let me actually log in to make sure that I have Internet Truck Stop. If I remember the login credentials. 1 second. All right, so who needs a load? Let's go back into Internet Truck Stop, or let's go over some workflow information because this is Basics 101. Or who needs clarity on understanding what it is that we do as dispatchers, or anything in that regard. I would prefer interaction, but silence is not always a bad thing. But in this case,
so I have a question.
Yes.
I think you're going to touch base on it. the workflow of dispatching.
Okay. The workflow of dispatching. Okay. So here's the high level. So what I'll do is I'll give high level points, and then we'll go into detail as you see fit, as far as understanding what that is, right? To get a more clarity on it. So the high level workflow of dispatching is, as a dispatcher, the first thing you want to do, of course, is you want to get a carrier under a dispatcher agreement. So if you gotten your logins because you went through the back office, you set up your login and email, you're able to log in and things like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you got through orientation. I got to put some information in business setup. But in module 1, to begin the workflow, you first have to acquire or get a carrier under a dispatcher agreement. So the question becomes, okay, well, what carriers and what equipment types am I going to focus on? Well, in this training under Dispatcher 101, ongoing training for beginners, we do not exclude other equipment types like the Sprinter vans, the box trucks, the cargo vans. So, as a matter of fact, if you see my screen, I got a list of, this is a large list of brokers and direct shippers that deal with Sprinter and cargo van. These are load boards for Sprinter and cargo vans. So look at all this. So I do not exclude, and I'm going to add this to these. There's Selectis, and there's My Virtual Fleet. And this is a load board broker. That's a load board. So I'm not excluding those. The point I'm making with the 3 major equipment types for those carriers that we go after as beginner dispatchers is because those are the ones with whom the most loads are on the load boards for. The 53-foot dry vans, the 53-foot refrigerated trailers, or what we call reefers, and then the 48 or 53-foot flatbed trailers. So why not make your job a little bit easier by targeting initially, not always, but just initially, just to get your feet wet and learn the process? Why not target those equipment type carriers who have loads out there all the time on the load boards? Why would you present yourself with a harder challenge by targeting carriers where you're going to have a little bit more of a hurdle or a challenge finding loads for? Why not go after the ones that every time you look on a load board, you're going to always see loads for this type of carrier, you know, a dry van, a flatbed, or reefer. You're going to always see that. You're going to more, I should say, a lot more. You know, you'll see a little bit less of the cargo vans, the Sprinter vans, the box trucks, because you got to filter and drill down on specific load boards more. So with that being said, carrier acquisition, so you have an understanding. You'll say, okay, well, this platform says target initially in the beginning the equipment types, dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. So now the question becomes, well, how do I do that? So we're still in module 1 of the workflow. What methods do we use to target those equipment types? So here are the equipment types: the dry vans, the reefers, the flatbeds. So now we come across the methods. The method being, the number 1 method, of course, if you live within a certain radius, let's say 25, 30 miles even, of a truck stop, physical truck stop, where you can actually get in your car and drive to it, then you can drive up to the truck stop and introduce yourself to carriers, pass out your flyers, business cards, because you are a dispatching business. So, you know, you get to the point where if you are comfortable selling yourself like that, presenting yourself, say, hey, I'm a dispatcher, this is what I do, I can help you find those, where are you, what do you normally run, what do you normally get per mile? You know, you structure your presentation to the carrier physically right in front of them. So you're presenting yourself. It's almost like an interview. So, which is the most effective way to do it, because they see you, You see them, you're making eye contact, shaking hands even, as opposed to a cold call, for example, where you're over the phone, you don't see each other. But they see your body language, your mannerisms, and things like that. So start a conversation, present yourself, sell yourself. That's the best way to sell yourself is in person. That's number one. And this is getting carriers, carrier acquisition. Getting a carrier under a dispatcher agreement and profile. And before I move on, the question becomes, or some people are wondering, well, what is a dispatcher agreement and what is a profile? Those are the first two things that you would need to help you in your dispatching journey to dispatch these trucks. The dispatcher agreement is the, for lack of a better word, the contract between you and the carrier. The carrier says, hey, yeah, I can use your dispatching services and I'll pay you the flat rate that you're charging per week or the percentage per load that you're charging per week. Those two types of payment options, either you as a dispatcher, you either charge, I don't know, $250 to about $500 a week, irregardless of how many loads per week you find. That's a flat rate, $500 capped, or you will charge a percentage range between 5 and 10% per load per week. So the question for you as a dispatching business is, well, which one of those two payment options or scales that you're going to charge for your business is more profitable for you and your business? So then you will present yourself with a scenario. Well, if I find them X amount of loads per week, but I'm only charging them a flat rate as opposed to a percentage per load, which of the two will have the greater number for my business? And then you decide to go with that model. So that's the dispatcher agreement. And then the profile is the other document. It's a one-page document where you present a series of questions for the carrier to fill out and return to you. The carrier is telling you that how they want to run. They only want to haul so much weight on their trailer. They want to make so much cents per mile, at least, let's say $2 a mile for a van, $3 a mile for a reefer, $2.50 a mile for a flatbed, or whatever those numbers are currently, the market rates. They don't want to go to New York or to the tolls and mountains. They only want to go this far or that far. So they're giving you specifics of how they want to run. So when you look for loads for them, you can cater your load search according to that profile. And then you will reach out to that carrier, hopefully in a timely fashion, with that particular load that meets their criteria. So what better scenario for a carrier to have a dispatcher to give them exactly what they want, how they want it. That's the purpose of the carrier profile. The carrier is telling you exactly what they want. So if you find loads for a carrier exactly what they want in a profile and they still turn them down, then you have to rethink, okay, well, man, what's the point of even having you as a carrier if you gave me a profile for me to find you loads and I did exactly that and you still are not satisfied? Then you reached a kind of a fork in the road with that carrier because it seems like that person may not be satisfied. But I don't want to digress. So the dispatcher agreement and the profile, those are the first two main documents that are needed in carrier acquisition. The other documents that are going to be needed, 3 if not 4, and these are needed because every time you book a load with a broker or shipper, at least 3 of those documents are always asked for or asked about by those parties, those brokers and shippers, because they need those documents to get that carrier vetted out and set up with them. Those documents are the MC authority letter, the W-9, the certificate of insurance, and if that carrier has a factoring company, the notice of assignment. So, does anyone have any questions so far before I break down those 4 documents? No? Okay, so the reason why those 4 documents are needed, number 1, the MC authority letter. The MC authority letter is given out by the DOT and FMCSA. It's governed by the DOT and FMCSA, Department of Transportation, and Federal Motors Carrier Safety Administration, MC Authority letter. This is what one looks like. This is somewhat blurry, but you kind of get the gist. It shows the service date that the authority became active for that carrier, and it gives unique MC number identifiers and unique DOT number identifiers per each trucking. So in other words, each trucking company has a unique MC and DOT number for that particular company. And they're issued by the DOT and the FMCSA, the Department of Transportation, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, saying that you are authorized to run freight either intrastate or interstate, depending on how that person applied for that authority. So, and the types of authorities for carriers, owner operators, and truck drivers are common carriers, contract carriers, passenger carriers, and household goods, HHG. So you'll see those different types, but the main ones that you as independent freight dispatchers are focusing on are the common carriers of property except household goods, who are interstate. So intrastate and interstate, there's a big difference. Intrastate are those individuals who can haul freight within their state lines, within. They cannot leave the state. And then interstate, they can go outside of their state lines to other states. That is the difference. So that being the case, you would think that the interstate carriers will make more money because they're going all over the place. Not necessarily. So if you have an intrastate authority, but you're in the state of Texas, you can make a lot of money in that state, depending on your equipment type, depending on the loads and things like that. But in most cases, I would say interstate, you will more than likely make more money than an intrastate. But again, Texas is a huge state, so that's the MC authority letter. One of the documents. The other documents that brokers need, shippers need to vet out to make sure that you actually have an authority to move freight. The other one is the W-9. Everyone's seen a W-9. We deal with them with our taxes and things like that, and when you start your business. So it shows that the carrier has an EIN number associated with their business name. So that's basically the main point, and the type of business, the type of legal entity that they have, whether it's LLC, S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietor, what have you. But that is a document that's also needed by brokers and shippers from the carriers. Okay. The other one is, of course, the certificate of insurance. Certificate of insurance is the broker's way of seeing that the carrier has the sufficient minimum, at least minimum amount of cargo and liability. Now, they may have extra umbrella coverage as well, but at least the minimum requirements to satisfy brokers and shippers. Cargo is $100,000 and liability is $1 million. That's what brokers and shippers require, but the minimum BIP requirements is $750,000 for the liability. Now, I'm understanding that they're upping the liability to $2 million at this point. So, but this is the certificate of insurance. In other words, the brokers need to see that your carrier is insured to cover the cargo that they're hauling while they're under that load, while they, the broker, while they're being brokered by that broker. Okay. Let's see, someone commented here. Yeah, the insurance group, I think liability went up, Robert. I was talking to Smooth, and he was saying that it's going up to $2 million now instead of $1 million. So I need to check on that. Oh, yeah, and then you mentioned something about reaching out to Joe. Do you have his information? While you look that up, I'm going to finish explaining. So that's the certificate of insurance. Now, this is a general certificate of insurance. You you'll commonly see one that looks like this. What you're seeing is right here, the producer is the insurance company, the insured is the trucking company. So ABC Insurance Company, XYZ Trucking. Over here is the insurance agent that works for that producer, that insurance company, ABC Insurance. Their name, first and last name, their phone number, office line, fax number, email, what have you. Okay? And Joe Mack is one of Robert's, a carrier person that was looking for a dispatcher. So, okay, so now inside of the certificate of insurance, you got the policy information for each type of coverage, like general liability, the policy number, the date that it starts and the date that it expires, and the amounts. Same holds true for auto liability, workman's comp, what have you. Another key point to note on the certificate of insurance, a lot of brokers, when you're as a dispatcher, when you are booking loads with certain brokers, they will ask to be made a certificate holder on your carrier's certificate of insurance. So when you hear that, this is the area that they're talking about. They need to have their broker company name, street address, city, state, and zip put in here and sent to them. So you would call, or your carrier, in most cases you, since you are managing that truck, call the insurance agent and say, hey, I need a certificate of insurance listing the following brokerage as the certificate holder. They're going to, first thing they're going to do, the agent is going to verify, they're going to ask you for the policy to verify that they're one of their clients, your carrier is one of their clients, because they're just not going to give you a certificate holder certificate of insurance. They want to verify that it's one of their clients. And in some cases, they'll even call your carrier to say, hey, someone called, and your carrier's got to say, yeah, that's my dispatcher. So, and that's fine because the insurance agent is just doing their job. That's all they're doing. They're just not going to give anybody a certificate of insurance. You have to verify the policy and even receive a call. Your carrier might even receive a call from the insurance agent. So if you were in that situation, you would want the same thing. If you were a carrier and you had a dispatcher, I would want the same thing because that just protects me. So once everything is verified, they're going to say, okay, what's the name of the company? They're going to say ABC Brokerage, 123 Main Street, Anywhere, USA, 12345. They're going to put that in there, information in there, and they're going to say, who do I need to fax or email this to? Of course, you will send it to you, the dispatcher, your email, and then you will have that insurance agent CC a copy to the broker. So you kill two birds with one stone. The broker gets the copy, and so yeah. So yeah, Robert's friend Mac needs a dispatcher. So Robert, you may hook Mac up with that trucker of yours. So that's the third document. The fourth document, if your carrier has a factoring company which handles a lot of the finances for trucking companies, as well as other things, it's called an NOA form. This is a notice of assignment. So what this does is it's like a safety net for the carrier. It vets out and runs checks on brokers, shippers, however the situation begs for it at that time. So in this case, for the carrier, it's running the credit of the broker to see if there's any red flags, if there are any reports or claims that the broker do not pay on time and things like that. And if that was the case, then the factory company will get a hold of the carrier and say, hey, this broker is known to not pay. They're like net 30, but they don't pay till like 60 days later. You may want to reconsider. Because the reason they're saying that is protecting the carrier, but because the factory company is going after the broker for the money because they pay the carrier up front, then it's going to stress the factory company as well because they have to wait that long period of time to get that money. They've already paid the carrier up front, and they charge a percentage for that service. They charge a percentage for that service, anywhere between 1% to 5%, depending on the type of factoring it is, whether it's recourse or non-recourse. And then they go after the third party, in this case the broker, for the remainder monies. So that's how the factoring companies work. They buy those invoices, those BOLs, those PODs, and then they pay the carriers within 24 to 48 hours, depending on how that process is structured. So those are the documents. So mind you, Jason, we are still under carrier acquisition, Module 1. Getting the carrier under a dispatcher agreement and profile, understanding the equipment types to initially target as a dispatching company, the methods used. The first one was the truck stop, and then I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit and went into the information about the dispatcher agreement, profiles, and the other documents. But coming back to number 2, a second method used to acquire carriers, which is the cold calls. Now, there are several ways to cold call. We have several ways that we use. We use the truck search feature of Truckers Path. We use Quick Transport Solutions, the resources area, and we search for trucking companies. And then we use the DAT directory. So we have 3 options and we also, there's another one as well. We use the FMCSA registry. That's where we target those trucking companies who have recently, within the last 30 days to 90 days, whose authority have become active. So that's a 4th option of cold calling carriers. And when you cold call, now with the truck search feature of Truckers Path, when we cold call, we also use a website, the SAFER website, the Safety and Fitness Electronic Record website, where we vet out the carrier to make sure that they're not part of a brokerage, because you don't want to double. You're calling a broker to book a load for a carrier who's already a part of a broker. That's double broker. That's why we don't deal with carriers who are already part of a broker. Okay? And then other methods involved in the carrier acquisition, word of mouth. You may know someone who knows someone who's a truck driver. There are text scripts, email scripts. Now it goes from, in numerical order, from most effective to least effective. So text scripts and email campaigns, you're going to least likely hear from a carrier than you would from word of mouth, code. I'll do that right now. Let me call him. Call him right now. Before I call him, does anyone have any questions so far? And that was just under carrier acquisition. No. Okay, so now Robert just put a number for someone who may be looking for a dispatcher. Texas. Phone is ringing. What's his name? Hello, can I speak to Jose, please? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I apologize. They said I had the wrong number and they hung up on me, Robert. And it was a female voice, so it could have been a friend of his.
Let me, I wrote it down. I'm driving down the road, so I have to go back to the chat and take a peek, see what that number is.
In Facebook chat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can bring that up right now and see. Because I was going to just do a typical conversation.
Right. Vet him out a little bit,
Yeah, vet him out. Because I don't know his trucking company name, or anything like that. So I'm scrolling back up just to see. Now, it was the right number. Van driver is the same number. Just a young lady answered the phone and said I had the wrong number and hung up, which is fine. So what we would do in that situation, we would ask them, you know, are they looking for something or are they currently under load? And if they are, when will they be empty? And where are they looking to go? And depending on how you mention that to them, in some cases when you phrase that, they'll say, well, are you a broker? That's where you introduce yourself. You know, this is Exodus Dispatch. You know, this is whatever trucking, you know, whatever name of your company that you call your dispatching company, and then go from there. And then you start the process of trying to get some profile-like information from them. You know, how much you're looking per mile, where you're looking to go, how much weight you're trying to haul, what commodities are you trying to haul. I mean, because you got some carriers who don't want to put certain things on their truck, depending on the type of trailer that they have. So, and then be careful when you call flatbed carriers, because you want to be sure starting out that they are either a 48 or a 53-foot flatbed. You may get somebody say, oh yeah, I'm a hot shot. So now that's up to a 40-foot trailer attached to a dually. Not yet, Mac. I'm moving toward it, but not yet. I'm mainly focusing on just training right now. How are the rates? Because Mac just asked us I dispatching again. So let's go to, let me log out of here. Let's go to the second point of someone commented there. Max said the rates are booming. So this is a good time for people to be dispatchers for those three equipment types: dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. Max just said the rates are booming. So once we get past carrier acquisition module 1, and let's say you get a carrier under an agreement, now you have to find them a load. So you would go to a load board, and on this training platform, there are several that are available. 123 Load Board, DAT Trucker's Edge, Trucker's Path, Next Loads, A1 Matching, Free Freight Search, DOFT. So there's different load boards that we offer, and then you're more than welcome to get your own subscription as well. But I would take advantage of some of these as well while you are getting yourself in position to be able to have your own login. Take advantage of some of these load boards as well. So yes, Smooth he's working with Amazon right now. He had deactivated his MC authority, and he's working with Amazon, and he said he's bringing about 5 to 7 a week. Spot market's on fire. So yeah. What?
Now, supposed to be getting like 4,000 a week.
4,000 a week.
That's what I heard y'all I seen on YouTube the other day. I was like, Smooth Slipper, he don't know, spot market on fire right now.
Yeah, the OTR spot market. So someone just asked what spot market. So when you go on a load board and you're looking at posted loads, you're looking at the spot market load. So for example, someone give me a load that they're looking for a carrier that they may or may not have. Just as an example. Or for example, LeVay is from Columbus, Georgia. Let's use LeVay for example, because I think that's who asked the question. Right? LeVay, you asked the question, correct? Yeah, what is spot market? So, right. And that's good that you did that. So and this is for everyone, if you hear me say anything that you do not understand, please ask me to explain that. That way, because this is a training platform for beginners. to help you get a solid foundation into the industry. So when you get to that place where you start hearing all this verbiage, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what that is, or I know what that is. And that's where you need to be, so you can better navigate this dispatching, transportation, brokering terrain out here, right? So you want to get the common basic terminology down. So I'm on 123 load board, or I'm on, let's go to truck stop, internet truck stop. Okay, so internet truck stop, and LaVey says she's from Columbus, Georgia. LaVey, give me an equipment type, either a dry van, flatbed, or a reefer. One of the top three, the three major ones that we can find a load for, just to practice. She said a dry van. Okay, so let's see, someone else said something. Okay, dry van. So we'll look at dry van. So we'll go and truck stop is van. And we're going to leave the destination blank because I want to see anything coming out of Columbus, Georgia for a dry van going anywhere. Right now, if I had a specific area that I wanted to go to, or a specific state that I was looking to go to because I knew I had a load coming out of there, then I would put that state within a certain deadhead radius. And that concept is called load planning. If you can get familiar with areas with certain equipment types and in certain states that are freight heavy for those specific equipment types, then, and if you have a carrier of that specific equipment type, then you would generally target that carrier in those lanes, in those areas, to keep them running in those states that are freight heavy for that specific equipment type, back and forth or all over wherever those loads are. So in this case, we got Columbus, Georgia as the origin. And I'm going to do this. Instead of doing the quick one, I'm going to go over here to New Search because I want to show the overall look and feel of internet truck stop navigation. So the origin, destination, the equipment type, and then pickup date and some other accessories. So we said Columbus, Georgia, and we left the destination blank because we want to find anywhere, right? By default, the radius or the deadhead miles that we can pick up a load within is 100 miles in both cases, origin and destination. So now, origin, when you pick up a load, whether it's a dry van, flatbed, or reefer load, where you're picking the load up, the origin is called, you're picking that up from the shipper. And then when you deliver the load to the destination, you are delivering that to what's called the receiver, okay? Sometimes you'll see on rate confirmation, you'll pick up from the shipper, or they'll have a term called the consignor, C-O-N-S-I-G-N-O-R. And then you'll have terms destination, receiver, or consignee, C-O-N-S-I-G-N-E-E. So just so you can hear those terms, so when you see them on rate confirmations, they may be interchanged on the rate confirmation and you may not know what they are. So I'm just letting you know. You may have shipper and consignee, or you may have consignor and destination. So just so you know what they are, they're interchangeable like that, so you get an idea, okay? Now, they said van, so we're going to say van, and it will leave pickup date blank, right? And then we'll go ahead and put any for the mode type. TL is truckload, LTL is less than truckload, and you have partials, intermodal, which is the ports, dray, so on and so forth. So if you leave it any, that's fine right there. And then you hit add to my searches and close. So now, right here, got 960 total loads coming out of Columbus for a dry van, coming out of Columbus, Georgia, within a 100-mile radius going anywhere. Now, what I generally do is rate right here, which used to be over here. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, I think it's because this is a new subscription that I got. So Rate, I click the rate to put the orders, the posted amounts. Because you see rates and numbers here, that means that the brokers, this is what the broker is paying to the truck right now. So I put in the order of highest to lowest. And then also, too, since it's 960 and it's grouped in different pages, I'm going to expand my viewing to the most 200 so I can see more on one page at a time. So now I got more of a visual, and this is just particularly for this particular load board. Other load boards, navigation features may be a little bit different, but the concepts is the same: the origin, the destination, the equipment type, the pickup date, things like that. But the results of that search may be different on 123 or DAT as opposed to Trucker's Truck Stop. So here we go. So this first one, 3,100, and it's going 2,500 miles. That doesn't sound like a lot of. Cents per mile, even though the weight is good. Well, let me give you this before I even say that. You have to know why I'm saying that. Why I'm saying that doesn't seem like a lot of cents per mile to the truck. Because in order to figure out cents per mile, you divide the rate that the load is being paid to the truck divided by the miles that the truck is going, the loaded miles. And sometimes with the loaded miles, the practical miles, you include deadhead miles in that if it's over a certain amount. So if it's like for me, if it's over 50 miles, I will add that 50 miles to the loaded miles of that trip, and then divide that number into what is being paid, and then that'll give me a cents per mile. For example, this one here, the first one we're looking at, you'll see that you say, man, 3,100, that's a lot of money. But look how far he has to travel. So you have to say 3,100 divided by that 2,549, because he got to go 25 for now 3 mile Phoenix City, Alabama, and Columbus, Georgia. Apparently that's not that far. Origin City from Columbus, Georgia, 3 miles. So you're not going that far, so that's not a lot of deadheads. I'm not even adding that to that 25. I'm just going to say 3,100 divided by 2,549. So that's $1.22 a mile. So for a dry van in that area, let's see. Here's a resource I'm going to give you, so you can see what the market rates are for each equipment type in specific areas. This is called DAT Trend Lines. It's a free resource. I'm going to give it to you guys here now. You can look up rates. So this is how you look at it. So for each of the 3 major equipment types, van, flatbed, reefer, right, you can look up the national rates for the van and the load to truck capacity. So for here, we're going to look up for a van, since we're looking at a van on Truck Stop. We're looking at a van, so we're going to look at the van, the national rates for the van. And this van was coming out of Columbus, Georgia. So for vans, the Georgia area is $2 a mile. So that $1.22 is well below what the national average is for the dry van in that particular zone. Now, these rates are grouped in what's called zones. Zones are made up of multiple states. Like this is the southeastern zone, this is the northeast zone, Midwest, Southwest, and then West, right? So the zone on average, and Georgia falls in the southeast zone, is paying about $2.01 a mile. So you look at a load that's $1.22, that's well below the national average for the zone. So So we would go back and say, okay, well, that's not a good load. Let's look at the next one, or the third one down, $3,000, and it's, so what is that? Somebody give me the answer. What's the cents per mile at 1,080 miles that is paying $3,000? What is the cents per mile for that? How do you calculate that? Somebody get that to me. At 79, so let's add the 79 to the 1080, right? 1080 plus the 79, because that's more than 50, so that's 1159, and then we're going to divide that into the 3,000. That's how you figure out the cents per mile. So you can see my screen. So it's $2.59 a mile. So someone said 270. 277. So Jocelyn, you probably did not include the deadhead, which is fine. If you don't want to include the deadhead for your carrier, that's cool. So Jocelyn took 3,000 and just divided the loaded miles to 1080. And 277, 278. So yeah. Right. So if you have a cutoff as a cutoff point for a number of miles deadhead that you give yourself as a grace, you know, like if it's 50 miles or less, you won't add it to the loaded miles. If it's more, you add it to the loaded miles to give yourself more of a true cents per mile, as opposed to one that's going to not include deadhead. Then go with that. That's fine. So this one, even the 258 or the 277, this particular load, I'm going to click it and open it up in another tab. This one at 277 for Jocelyn, or 258, which included the 79 loaded deadhead miles for me, is still above the national rate for a dry van in that state. Zone, Southeast Zone, Georgia, $2.01. So 258 or 277 is above the national average. So that's looking at it from that perspective, you could say that that's a potentially good load for your carrier, starting off just with that information alone. So now you would go into the details, which is right here of the load. We clicked on it, and now you see it's red. When you click on the load in Internet Truck Stop, it highlights red and it opens up another tab. So now here's the details of the load. Now here, as a dispatcher, this is where you get your information or lack of information, where you can question the broker. So the load details column is where you see what you may or may have to ask the broker. Like down here in special information, for this particular load, picking up in Macon, Georgia, going to Lincoln, Rhode Island, which is from southeast to northeast, 1080 miles on the 7th, which is, what's that, Friday? 44,000 pounds, and it got special instructions. It's from 0800 to 2 o'clock pickup, and delivery is FCFS between 0800 and 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock on Monday. So FC, you're going to see this a lot when you're doing with shippers and brokers. FCFS means first come, first serve. So if your carrier was to pick that load up, let's say at 10 o'clock, that's a middle ground, 11 o'clock between 11 o'clock on Friday, and he gets there at 9 o'clock or 7:30 on Monday. He's one of the first ones that's going to be unloaded, because they don't unload until 8 o'clock, first come, first serve. He's there at 7:30, so he's a half an hour early, he or she. But at CFS, they may have a line there. So wherever he's at in the line, he or she in the line, that's who gets loaded or unloaded first. Unloaded in this case, because they're delivering. So FCFS means first come, first serve. So there's no appointment. You get there, you get unloaded when you get there. that's a good thing, because that way you can get out of there quicker. You ain't got to sit around and wait for the appointed time. If you're there early, you know, you first come, first serve. You can move on to your next load. In the load details that you may want to ask the broker, like, you know, you got pickup dates and times, right? Delivers Monday between those hours, first come, first serve. Picks up Friday between these hours. You got pickup dates and time. Special instructions, you will ask the broker that. Typically, you may ask the commodity last, and you may negotiate more money, particularly if you are charging a percentage to your carrier. Let's say you're charging 10%. So 10% of what the posted rate is, 10% of 3,000 is 300. So say you go back to the broker and say, yeah, we want that load, but we want it for 3,300 or 34. Because now, why are you doing that? You're trying to cover your dispatching percentage from the broker side. You're not trying to pull the 10% of the 3,000 from the carrier side, because that'll change that 3,000 to 2,700. You're pulling 300, right? As opposed to adding 300 on top of the rate from the broker side. That's where the negotiating part comes in on that, in that perspective. Okay? Any questions on this so far? Hello, area code 870 and area code 904. Good evening to you both. Thanks for joining. Which one are you? I hear a voice 87. Yes, who am I speaking?
I'm the 904. Okay, so you're saying, like, how do you, you know, talk to the shipper and let them know that you need to have that rate on top of what's charged, so that way, you know, you're getting, you know, everybody's.
Right. So you're not sitting there like with a calculator added up. When you see the posted rate, especially loads on the load board that's already posted, you see those numbers. You would have already calculated what that amount is. So when you do call the shipper, you already have an idea of what you want to mention to them. So, like for example here, so as a dispatcher, what will be your this job, right? What will be your pay scale for your or payment approach for your carrier? Are you going to charge them a flat rate, or are you going to charge them a percentage for your dispatching services?
Well, I would say $65 to $75 per load, or 10%, whichever's greater.
Okay, so 10% sounds like it's a good. So let's use 10% for example. So what is 10% of $3,000, right?
Right.
That's 300, right?
Right.
So, right. So you take that 10% and you add it to the original load amount. So 300 added to 3,000 is 3,300. So now when you call that broker, so first of all, you're looking at the load and you're calling your carrier and saying, man, I got a load at 3,000. It's picking up in Macon, Georgia. It's going to Lincoln, Rhode Island. 44,000 pounds. It's a drive-in. I don't know what the commodity is, but I'm going to call the broker and try to negotiate about 3,300, 3,400 to try to cover my my percentage, so you get all of your 3,000. Carrier will be like, yeah, go for it. So because in the carrier's eyes, you are working for free. For him, if you think about it, right? Because you're getting the money from the broker side. You're working for free for the carrier. Unless you can use that as a marketing ploy to the carrier. You're like, look, I'm gonna charge 10%, but you're not going to see. I'm not taking it from your pocket. Every time I get a load, and you give them an example. Let's say I find you a $2,000 load, Mr. Carrier, and 10% of $2,000 is $200. I'm going to go back to the broker and negotiate $2,200. So you see what I just did? The carrier will be like, oh yeah, I see what you just did. You just added your $200 on top of what I'm going to get paid for anyway. So I didn't lose no money. So you're working for me for free. Yeah, I'll find you a dispatch agreement. Go ahead and send that thing over. You know. So it depends on how you talk to the carrier, how you market yourself to the carrier. You can explain to the carrier in such a way that they're not losing anything, because every time they get a phone call, carrier's thinking, I'm about to lose something. because whether it's with a shipper or a broker or a dispatcher. But if you can give them a perspective or a situation or a scenario where they're not losing anything, they're getting, in their eyes, in their perception, they're getting free service, then they're going to be like, yeah, I'll work with you anytime. If you go to a broker, give me a $3,000 load, you bump it up to $3,300 so you can get your money and I still get my $3,000, I'm good. We can work for, for as long as we want. So that's the concept. And so you would already have those numbers in your head and figured out, and 10% is a good round number to deal with. So before you call that broker back, after you discuss with the carrier, you say, yeah, go ahead, book that load. I want that load. You call the broker, you say, yeah, we're looking at a load going from Macon, Georgia for a drive-in for Friday from Macon to Lincoln, Rhode Island. Is that load still available? Broker will be like, yeah, let me check my system real quick. By the way, what's your MC? And you're going to give them the MC of your carrier because you are already under a dispatcher agreement with that carrier already. So there's no worries there. So you give them the MC, they look it up, they're either set up or not set up with the brokerage. Let's say, for example, they are not set up with that broker. The broker's going to say, okay, yeah, you're not set up with it yet, but that's not a problem. Who do I need to send the carrier packet to? And then, of course, ask the dispatcher, who do you think? You're the middle person, so they're like, okay, yeah, send it to me, ABC Dispatching or info@abcdispatching.com or whatever your business dispatching email is, because I'm sure by this point, as a dispatching company, you are at a point where you have a business email set up, right? So if you don't, that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying that's the idea. You want to always have a business approach when you're dealing with businesses, right? You want to have a business perspective. It just makes you look more business-like. So they send the carrier packet to you. You fill that out, and then get that back to them along with the other documents that I mentioned earlier. I don't know if you were here on the call earlier when I went over the other documents that most brokers and shippers need to get carriers set up with them. I don't know if you were on that part of the call, but you send those documents in. The broker goes over those documents, get that, run those in their TMS system, run it by their compliance team, and then they'll call you back and say, yeah, you're all set up. So who do I send the rate confirmation to? Of course, again, send it to me. Send it to my dispatching company, and then get that signed. You go over that rate confirmation before it's signed because the load is officially booked. Go over that rate confirmation to make sure that the broker didn't throw any extra, any monkey wrenches in the program. He didn't add any extra instructions in the load that wasn't posted on the posting on the load board, because brokers, believe it or not, have a tendency to do stuff like that. And I'm not trying to downplay brokers, but this is what happens. They'll throw things in there that wasn't on the original posting on the load board, but you notice it on the rate com. When you see that, bring that to your carrier's attention, and you guys discuss it, decide if you want to continue on with this load. If so, okay, we're going to go back to the broker and say, hey, I noticed you added an extra stop in here. We're going to need an extra $200, $300, $400, $500 on top of this, because that's more time. We got to sit at a loading dock waiting to get unloaded and offloaded. There's other circumstances. So that, but that comes in time. The basic concept, of booking a load is what we're going over now. So send that rate con in, sign, the load is officially booked, and then you're off to the next load after that load is delivered. So I hope I answered the question without going too far off the deep end.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Let's see. So I see some comments down. Let me go back up and answer some of these. So they said, what forms of payment have you seen coming from the carrier, or does the broker pay the carrier pays the dispatcher? Correct. So in the dispatch agreement, that's explained too, but generally the load is booked, the carrier delivers the load, sends in a proof of delivery, POD. Either the carrier's factoring company pays the carrier, or the broker pays the carrier, depending on what is better advantage for the carrier. So if the carrier does not have a factoring company, a lot of brokers offer a 3-tier payment process. Quick pay, which is like 24 to 48 hours. They'll charge up to 5% on top of that, what the rate of the load. And then the second option is a 5 to 7 day wire transfer. It's called ACH transfer, automated clearinghouse, ACH, automated clearinghouse. That's a 5 to 7 day process, and they charge up to 3% for that. And what they do with that is they'll either ask for a voided check, or you physically write in a routing number or an account number for the checking account where you want that carrier funds to be transferred to. And then the third option, which is free by the broker, is just a standard paper check that they mail to the carrier's physical address that's on their authority, or on their W-9, where they live, essentially. So those are the payment options of the broker, and you will see that sometimes in the carrier packets under payments. So we don't have time tonight to go over that, but we will in the next. We can go thoroughly through the carrier packet. Let's see. And then once the carrier is paid, then you, as the dispatcher, you invoice the carrier for your percentage on that load. Either your percentage or flat rate, depending on what your payment structure is when you set that agreement up with that carrier. So. Okay. All right. So now where was I? Oh, okay. Any other questions before I move on? I'm sorry. I don't want to. Any other questions? And I pray that I'm not moving too fast. I want to explain it in a way that, that's on a basic level, that everyone gets the formal basics of it, understanding. So, no questions? So we're on load boards, navigating load boards. We were looking at a load, figuring out cents per mile, understanding that concept, making sure that it falls within the national range. I gave you that link. You guys have that for each equipment type. Dry van. Now notice this too. For dry van, flatbeds and reefers. So this is a dry van. We looked at the national rates. So there's a second category under each equipment type called the demand and capacity for each one, van, flatbed, and reefer. So what that means is the load to truck ratio. So it gives for every truck how many loads are available for that truck. And it increases. So in the van category, you notice the color-coded, the darker the color, the higher the, so 5.5 loads per one truck. That's how you read that. Load to truck ratio, 5.5 loads per one truck. So in Texas, the load to truck ratio is 5.5 loads per one truck. So you can essentially, for a dry van, you can run from South Carolina to Texas, and you got a 5.5 chance of getting the load back and forth. That's how you look at that. Or you can go up to South Dakota or over to California, things like that. The same holds true for different equipment types. And that trend lines, they focus on the three major equipment types as well, because they know that there are plentiful of loads out here for those three equipment types. The reason I stress that is because for beginners, your entry into this industry will be easier if you focus on those. Now, I'm not saying to disregard box trucks and disregard hot shots and sprinter vans. No, you could of course target those as well, but as a beginner dispatcher, make your life a little bit easier by getting carriers who have equipment types that meet these criteria, that fall into these categories, so you can find loads quicker and start making money sooner. Now, unless you specifically know a box truck broker or direct shipper that deals with LTL and box truck loads, or you know some expedited people that deals with hot shot and sprinters and cargo vans, then I recommend to focus on the three major equipment types starting out. I'm not saying exclude those other ones. I want to emphasize that. I'm not saying exclude them. I'm just saying make your job easier as a beginner dispatcher by targeting those equipment types that can get you loads faster. That's what I'm saying. Okay? So in the flatbed national rates, we saw the van national rates. The flatbed national rates are decent. Like Mike was saying, they're booming out here. Flatbeds in the southeast. Now you notice for the van it was 201 in the southeast zone. It's 235 for flatbeds. And then the load to truck ratio for flatbeds, 18 plus. So in Texas, you got 18 plus loads per one truck. So, hold on 1 second. This is Charles, how can I help you? All right, so 18 plus, that's how you read this. 18 plus loads per one truck ratio in Texas for a flatbed type. And you notice it's color coded. So the vans were like orange or amber. The flatbeds are green. And then, of course, the reefers are probably going to be like blue. So let's look at the national rates for the reefers. They're blue, so it's 211. So of the three equipment types, the flatbed in that zone has the highest cents per mile, it's 235. The dry van has the lowest, it's 201, and then the reefer has the middle ground, it's 211. So again, so let's think as dispatchers, if we got a resource right here, that trend line that shows the rate of cents per mile, and you see that the highest one is the flatbed for your particular area where you live or zones or where you want to target, you could essentially start off by targeting the equipment type that has the highest cents per mile starting out in the different zones. Target those because those are the ones that could potentially get you the higher paying loads, thus getting you started on making money quicker. So that's another concept of load planning. You see of the three major equipment types, which one pays the highest cents per mile. You target those equipment types. You go after those carriers in the states that has, like, for example, the southeast zone, 235. So say Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. Those states, 235 on average, and you just go after only flatbed carriers because they seem to be making 235 a mile, and you get them under agreement, start booking loads for them, and then that could be your niche. You could specialize in finding loads for flatbed carriers as long as the flatbed cents per mile remains the highest of the three. If that changes over time, then you switch the game up. You target the carriers for the equipment types that has the highest cents per mile because you want to stay on top of the industry as you know, as you dispatch and start booking loads. And let's go to the demand, the truck to load to truck ratio for the reefers. It's 12. So flatbeds is 18, reefers is 12, the highest 12 loads per truck, and then vans is 5.5. So this is a good resource, and it changes. This is a dynamic resource. It changes all the time. So this is a good resource for dispatchers to load plan under and help you in that regard. All right. Any questions, guys? Okay, so who's that, Jason? Oh yeah, Jason. Okay, yeah. Hey, Jason, you started this. Okay, so we are still in that work. The workflow concept that Jason brought up. He wanted to know about the workflow of dispatching. So we were in carrier acquisition, load boards. We even covered book and load in Module 3, booking and load, which right here, we looked at this Macon, Georgia to Rhode Island load. We kind of transitioned from navigating the load board to actually booking the load in Module 3, booking the load, which talks about the dialogue with the broker or shippers, explaining that everything is detailed and broken down with an example script for you to look at and kind of follow along, because this is what you're going to hear. This is the verbiage that you're going to hear. The broker's going to always ask you for the MC or DOT of the carrier because they want to look them up in their TMS system. Most brokers have a TMS system, a transportation management software, which is a database that has carriers that they've already booked loads for and got set up with, onboarded with their company. That's what the term that they use. They onboarded these carriers. So if they search the MC of your carrier that you just called that broker for that load for, and they are not in that TMS system, chances are that they're not set up with that broker. So they're going to say, yeah, well, you're not set up. So who do I send the load, or who do I send the carrier packet to? So booking the load, we just went through that process of doing that, booking the load, sending in those documents, and this is a thorough script of what is said with just, you know, with some fictional information, but the concept is what we need to talk about. It even goes into details of what the carrier packet is. It breaks down a carrier packet, a sample broker carrier agreement, what that looks like, and we can go into that a little bit more thoroughly next training, so you guys can actually see and understand what that is, break it down, because you're going to be dealing with that all the time. You're going to be dealing with carrier packets or carrier agreements, and you're going to be dealing with rate confirmations, which is what officially books the load, makes the load official. Okay? That is booking the load module, and then module 4 is just literally after the carrier. Oh, I got an echo. Somebody's on. Give me 1 second. Okay, so module 4 is a short module. All it is just an invoice. When your carrier delivers, so let me give you a scenario, break it down a little bit for you guys as far as the when the carrier goes to a shipper to pick up a load, or remember on the load board it said origin, and the terminology I gave you was either origin or picking up from the shipper or picking up from the consignor, right? All three means the same thing. So when they get there, they get their paperwork, they get their BOL, their bill of lading, right here, which shows what's being picked up, how many pallets, where it's going, different things like that. Okay? Let me see here. Okay. All right, there. All right, so I had some background noise. I apologize for that. So when a carrier goes to a shipper or a consignor or to the origin to pick up a load, they receive their BOL, their bill of lading, which shows what's being loaded on that trailer, where it's going to, where it's being delivered to, the pallet count, things like that. They get loaded, they sign off, verifying that everything was loaded, nothing was damaged, everything was in good condition prior to leaving that shipper to get on the road to go to the receiver to deliver, okay? So they sign off in the area, in a certain area, and then the shipper signs off in a certain area, and then a copy of that is left for the shipper with the carrier signature on it, verifying that what they picked up was in good condition, in good order, everything was cool, pallet counts, etc. Now they're on the road driving to their destination, or to the receiver or to the consignee. They're under that load. So the miles that they're driving are the loaded miles because they are loaded. From the shipper to the receiver, those are the loaded miles. So once they get to the receiver now, remember they already tore a copy of the BOL off, signed by the receiver and the carrier. By the shipper and the carrier. So now they're driving to the receiver to deliver. Once they get to the receiver, they are going to the receiver is going to verify that everything that was loaded at the shipper is there, nothing is damaged, because from the time that they left the shipper to the receiver, anything could have happened. You know, pallets could have got bumped, things could have got damaged. So at the receiver individuals will verify the pallet count, nothing was damaged, so there won't be any claims, and then the carrier and the receiver will sign in their specific area verifying that everything was delivered in good condition and in good order. And then a piece of the paper will be torn off for the receiver to keep for their record. So now the carrier has one page that has his signature along the shippers, his signature along with the receiver, and that one piece of paper is now called a POD. So it went from a BOL, a bill of lading, to a POD, a proof of delivery, because that carrier picked it up at the shipper and delivered it to the receiver. So now he's proven that he's delivered. So that's why it's a POD at that point. And that's the carrier's invoice that they're going to use to get paid, either by the broker or their factory company. That's the concept right there. Okay? Any questions about that? No questions? So that is the hopefully that answered Jason's question and helped others along the way as far as the workflow. That's the workflow of dispatching there. And let me attach, I think I have a Word document or a PDF for you guys as well. I'm going to attach something real quick, if you don't mind. While I'm doing that, if you guys have any questions, so this is Distance Learning Center, workflow. So did you guys see that? Type yes if you see that PDF that I just attached. It's called Workflow of Dispatching. Okay, so that I could have just if you are LeVay, if you are on the computer, I just in the chat, it says, is this something that everyone can see? Yes, it's a PDF. You can download that. That workflow of dispatching I just attached to the chat for everyone. If you're on your computer, you should be able to see that. I'm going to open it up right now. Right here, workflow. Now this is a high level workflow. I think I kind of explained it a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to open it up on the screen now. So that's it right there. But see, that's just a high level. That's why it's only one page. I just went through it a little bit more detailed, and this is when I was part of the RBDS platform, but I'm no longer a part of that platform, so I actually need to change some of the verbiage on it. But the concept is the same. So it's the concept. So what I'll do is I will change the verbiage on it and then reintroduce it under Exodus. All right? Or use your company's emails and your company's websites in the workflow to create your own workflow and just use that workflow as a template for yourself. Use it as a guide and a template for yourself, and then go from there. How about that? All right, so I'm getting ready to shut it down tonight. Any questions? I hope I covered.
Will you be putting that truck stop on the go?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I got to go in there and edit the, I got to edit my, I can't edit it right now in the training because there's people on here who are not members, but I'm going to edit it offline and then take down the old PDF and put in the new PDF under load board logins. But yes, I will, Kobe.
Hey, one more question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
In the beginning, you showed some kind of page regarding box trucks and sprinter vans. Are members allowed to have that?
As far as the brokers and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I know. Sure, I know.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Yeah, if you could email that to me, or are you going to put it in the back office?
Let me see. I just. I can't remember if I saved it to my desktop. I'm looking for it now. Let me check my desktop real quick, because I did have it on the desktop. Yeah, but what I'll do is I'll add it to the back office. I'll definitely do that.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. I just got to remember where I had it. Okay, yeah. They said we know we're not members. Charles, we coming. We waiting for August. Yeah, the August 15th is the seminar one for non-members. So that's a 2 to 3 hour 1 day training for non-members. And then if you wanted to join the ongoing training, that price that you paid for that seminar will get rolled into the cost of the dispatcher 101. So. All right. I think I know where I put it. There it is. All right. So I'll put it in the back office. All right. So so 2 things I got to do. Truck stop login and the box truck brokers and stuff like that. Okay. All right, guys. Today was Wednesday. I will see you guys Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And,
thanks for doing this for us.
Yeah, hopefully it added some value, helped you out. There's my, as always, my cell number in Exodus. The email. So, all right, guys. The next training for members and guests will be Sunday, 11 a.m. So there you are. And if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about or explain, you can contact me either phone or email prior to then. I'll be more than happy to reach out to you. I'm very very transparent, very easy to get a hold of. So, which is one thing that I had lacked when I was going through my training. I could never get a hold of my instructors. So I made a point, if I were ever to be in a position that they were in, that I would not do what they did, because I did not like that feeling. If I'm stuck in a certain area and I need to get a hold of someone, I need to get a hold of them. Now, my wife is letting me know, like, I need to limit those hours, like after 9, so we can kind of wind down and, you know, have our time and stuff like that, because we, you know, we still have lives. So from any time 8 in the morning, like 9 at night, I'm available, right? But any time after that, you know, it's kind of like family time. So, and that's understandable. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that too. So, but yeah, in between those hours, I'm available. I guess you say between 9 and 9. That's a 12-hour, and that's every day. So, okay. So I'll see you guys on Sunday at 11 Eastern time, and then this video will be on in the back office for you guys. Yes, I do answer. I call back. May not call right there, but if I look at my phone, I say, "Oh yeah, I see a missed call." Yes. So, yep, I will pick it up. This is my cell phone. I keep this thing in front of me everywhere I go. So, all right. Any other questions, comments before we get on?
Nope. I just want to vouch for that too. You always answer, you know, my questions pretty quickly. So whoever's wondering if, you know, what you say is what you say, yeah, it's true. You always answer me within 1 minute to 5 minutes. So
yeah, it's gonna get to a point where that number's gonna get higher, between 20 and 25 minutes, because a lot of people are gonna probably be calling me like, "Oh Lord." If it gets to that point where a lot of people call, I'm probably just gonna jump on the computer and like, "Look, let's just have a quick online conference call or something." You know, that way I hit everybody at once. You know. So, all right, guys, you guys enjoy your evening, rest of the week and weekend, and I will see you Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Tell your friends. For those who are interested, of course, you can go to the website www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com and consider enrolling. I have an upcoming seminar for those who are non-members to sign up for. I'm going to give you 2 to 3 hours of so much content that you will know after that seminar whether you want to consider enrolling. And if you do, the price you pay for the seminar will be rolled into the payment for the training. So it's a lot of content in there, and I provide ebooks and, you know, things like that. Yeah, Mike, I will definitely hire you.
Well, this has been very informative, and I'm looking forward to the other trainings coming up.
Tell your friends.
Yes, indeed.
All righty.